Okay, pause for just one sec. I am very proud of that final product, and we will get there and talk all about it eventually, but really, this is where it started. You see that crazy tangle of thread? That's like this whole project, and that's me struggling to figure out where the beginning of the thread is so I can figure out where to even start this whole thing. So let's go back to the beginning, shall we? My name is Sasha Mereu, artist, conjurer, musician, writer, human. I'm also one of the co-founders of Silk & Shadows, along with my wife, Ava Darcy. Isn't she amazing? Yeah, we're wicked cute together. Silk & Shadows is our wedding brand, which offers bespoke wedding planning, curated decor rentals, officiant services, and unique event experiences. And we're going to focus on that last one because this is the story of Bell and Bubbly. By the way, my hat is off to any content creator who makes videos where they are able to show a project being put together and created one day at a time with the entire process documented and photographed. This video is me doing the best I can to pull together the threads of the narrative after the fact, because I didn't have the foresight to do the whole thing in real time. Maybe on the next one? Question mark? But in fact, Sasha did not accomplish this on the next project. Case in point. See this? It's a new backdrop that I just installed in our living room so that we can shoot content. Like, legitimately, I just finished installing it after shooting the last video where I was like, well, maybe for the next one I'll remember and document the process. Guess what? Didn't do it. Didn't even cross my radar to time-lapse this or do it in short segments and then post a video every week so everyone could follow along, or even a before and after. Sasha? But rather than get mad at myself, I will simply recognize, meh, that's not how I work best. How I do it, I get intrigued, I get interested and curious, and I dive into the project head first without thinking about every little minute single detail.
That's my job.
Yeah, that's her job. And that's why Silk & Shadows work so well, because we complement each other and fill in each other's professional gaps. Anyway, back to me. Thank you, Sasha. So Bell and Bubbly is our take on a unique champagne experience. So rather than have servers with trays and glasses of sparkling wine, possibly in tuxedos old Hollywood style, or a champagne fountain where the liquid gets poured on top and everything cascades down in a pyramid and it looks very nice. It's also a mess, by the way. Or I've also seen a champagne tower, which is 100 or so pre-poured glasses on a series of boxes that are graduated, also vaguely pyramid-shaped. Sometimes they're shelves, and people just take them as they pass by. The Silk & Shadows champagne experience is possessed of a lot more whimsy. Oh, this just in. Why don't you use normal words? Well, to answer that, let's have a quick look into my background, shall we? Prior to creating Silk & Shadows, I made my living for the last 20 years primarily as a professional magician and performance artist. I've spent half my life doing impossible things: levitation, teleportation, successfully sleeping on airplanes. I've toured the world working with the same illusionists since 2005, and it has been an amazing ride. So magic colors how I see and interact with the world. When we were discussing what kind of event experiences Silk & Shadows wanted to offer, Ava came across this interesting video of a champagne booth, and it was comprised of like a plastic hedge and an old ship's bell up at the top, and there was a sign across the front in neon lights and written in cursive that said something like, "Ring bell for champagne." And so a guest would come walking up, and ding ding, they would ring the bell, and from behind the hedge, a human hand would come out with a glass of bubbly. Great idea. Super mediocre execution. And I don't mean any shade to whoever's work that is. They're out there living their best life, which is cool. But in my opinion, they completely missed the point. Because here is a whimsical situation that is going to produce a drink from an unexpected place and by a novel means, but it completely lacked the design choices and the attention to detail to be able to elevate this from decent to amazing. So this was an opportunity. After searching around for a bit, we found other videos, mostly from the Balkans and Greece, interestingly enough. And in most cases, the booth was very pretty looking, some of them extravagant, with wooden facades and arches, and everything was painted white, and there were curtains over the windows. But every one of those booths lost its mystique entirely as soon as the hand came out, because the presentation was careless. Here's your drink. Sometimes you could see into the booth and see the mess backstage. In other cases, the server was peeking out and completely destroyed any sense of magic or wonder that might have been created. So that got me thinking. And because I'm me, I approached the problem like a magician would. Really? So what was the trick? The magic was not the drink. You can get a glass of sparkling wine at any bar at any wedding in the world. And the magic wasn't the booth itself. If a hand slings a drink out of a bush without any context or reason, it might be odd. But it's still just a bush with some weirdo sitting in it handing out drinks. So that means that the magic comes from the service itself, and more specifically, from the hands. I started my magic career in a small theater called Magic Underground in Reno, Nevada in the mid-2000s. It was an intimate venue, literally under the main plaza of the Pioneer Center in downtown Reno. The theater sat 197 people, and it had a bar and a magic museum in addition to the main showroom. In the museum, which held old magic portraits and memorabilia from the golden age of conjuring, there was an odd little cabinet called the automaton hands. It featured mechanical hands that appeared almost human and could, without being attached to any wires or other means, become animated and interact with guests, including feats of mind reading. You see, the hands were the magic. Once I had figured out the concept and identified why and how the experience was going to be magical, next came the question of what was the thing going to look like. I should mention that both Ava and I are voracious readers. We're talking between 150 and 200 books a year together for both of us. And this is important for Silk and Shadows because what we read informs our design choices. When you read words, your imagination is actively creating the whole time as opposed to passively observing, which is what happens when you watch a TV show or a movie. In the case of consuming visual media, the art direction has already been finished. It's already been done for you. Someone else has interpreted those words and created a vision, and you are merely witnessing it. It's not a bad thing necessarily, and I'm not saying that TV and movies are dumb. We do occasionally watch stuff, but it doesn't come anywhere even close to how much we read. And so I asked myself what from literature would be a situation that I would find memorable and where I would appreciate a glass of sparkling wine while not necessarily expecting it. And immediately my mind went to Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll, by the way, was also a magician. He invented all sorts of math puzzles and riddles and chess problems and such. Anyway, I saw myself strolling through a garden of roses, some white, some dripping with red paint. The sun was beating down on my head, and it was hot with the sense of flowers and earth in my nose. And then I imagined coming upon a giant rosebush, easily 8 feet tall, but with a small table in front of it, with a tiny bell on it and a sign that read, "Not eat me or drink me, but ring for bubbly." And suddenly, there it was. In my mind, a gloved hand emerged from the rosebush where no human could be seen. It was playful, handing out a glass of sparkling wine and making a fare thee well gesture before disappearing into the depths of the bush again. Then the bell would ring a second time, and another hand emerged from a different spot in the bush, but without any wine. It made a sweeping gesture as if to say, "Nothing in my hand, but look over there," where another gloved hand emerged with the glass, cold and tasty. This was going to be something that people would talk about and remember. A simple idea, serving sparkling wine at a wedding, but with a magical twist that felt like something out of a fairy tale. So that's how it all began. Join me in episode 2 to see how Bell Bubbly evolved from whimsical vision to proof of concept prototype, where design had to contend with the realities of materials and the limitations of budget and time.
You know, just like real life.